This to make it 28-3. Arthur Blank loving it. Up by 25. Toss to White. He's in. What a comeback.
All right, welcome back to the 28-3 podcast. We are recapping the Saints versus Rams game, and I don't want to say the Rizz has come to an end, but at least it wasn't enough to pull out the victory against the Rams. I don't know that it was such like an infuriating type of loss to where we have all kinds of thoughts on the game. I think there were some matchup issues that we thought there would be before the game that we highlighted. And the Rams just had McVeigh once again had a great game plan. I'll kick it off to you, Max, if you got any specific thoughts on the game or just things in general.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, it was one of the most boring games I've sat through in a while. Like, Nick and I were texting on the side about it, and it was fucking brutal to watch. Like, I can't imagine watching that game if you weren't a dedicated fan of either of the teams. Like, if you were just flipping through the channels and said, hey, I'm going to catch an NFL game today. Let me watch these guys. These guys look fun. It was just excruciating in the first half.
It was very much like a Week 13. Okay, we don't feel great about our playoff prospects, but obviously we have to win every game. But also at the same time, it's like it's Week 13. We got this team on the schedule. The NFL says we have to play this game. We're going to show up and play it. We're going to play to win, of course, but it's like it was just like a filler game for the entire slate of games for the NFL schedule. I hate to say that about my own team, but it kind of had that feel. Like, I'm not going to say that we didn't play with energy per se. I mean, definitely not the whole game, but it wasn't. It just didn't feel like it had that urgency or some kind of huge importance riding on it. I think both teams, us and the Rams, are very much in the bubble. I mean, we're on the outside looking in, but the Rams even were, they're not that far out of the NFC West, but at the same time, like they got a long way to go themselves, and they've been so up and down this year too. And
it was a tough watch, man. I mean, the Rams looked disjointed in the first half. I think it was the first time they were shut out under McVeigh in the first half, and they just didn't look like they had prepared at all. It almost looked like they were hungover, and they weren't. It was like they rolled in expecting just the Saints to roll over, and it was going to be an easy cakewalk, and they really just didn't do anything in the first half. And I knew we were in trouble the second we only had, what was it, the 3 points or 6 points, whatever it was in the first half. 6 points after having the ball for the majority of the first half, and then obviously in the second half, the Rams came in and scored touchdowns. I think 3 or 4 drives, which they did what we thought they were going to do in the second half.
Right.
It just took them a whole half to get revved up.
To say they were disjointed, I don't know if that's fair to say. There was 3 possessions because we just decided we were going to not try and score. We were more concerned about running the clock down, it seemed like. I saw, this was a very even game in the end. It was very boring, but it was very even. I think the yards were 327 for us, 322 to them. First downs, 22 for them, 19 for us. Time of possession, 32 for us, 27 for them. It's a very even game. No turnovers by either team. The difference is they got to the 30-yard line 4 times. They scored 3 touchdowns. We got there 4 times. We scored 1 touchdown. That's really the difference in the game. And one of them, we did score a touchdown, and we decided Fuaga, I still don't know what he was doing. It was clearly a pass play. He jumps right off the ball and was downfield 2 yards, tried to get back. I don't know what he was initially trying to do. It was very strange.
It looked like, jump in on that. It looked like it was one of those play fakes where he was almost like showing a run block, but the defender like kind of olayed him, and it made him lose his balance, and he ended up like with his forward weight, he ended up like falling 2-3 yards ahead, and at that point it was too late.
Yeah, I mean, from our most athletic lineman, that's a rough play.
Yeah, yeah, it was rough, but
And then that followed. I mean, that one is a penalty. That's a mistake. Whether he, whiffed on getting contact with the end or whatever he was doing. Pretty dumb penalty. The Penning one, to me, to follow it right back up, which took the touchdown out of the realm of possibility after we scored it with AK scoring on the Fuaga mistake. That wasn't a penalty. I don't know what they were calling there. He tried to block the guy near, kind of lunged at him. He hit the ground. He did like a half roll, and the guy, I don't even know if the guy fell down, and they called him for a low block. But whether that would have changed anything, I don't know. But the second half, they obviously came out. They only had 3 possessions in the first half. They got to the 30 once. They went for it on 4th down. The other 2, we got stops. And it took Stafford a little bit to get going. Second half, I think, looked like we all talked about last week. But still, at the end of the day, the defense holds the Rams to 320 yards. You got to score more than 14 against the Rams. We knew that. We didn't do it. We're going down for the game tying drive. And again, it seems like we're so concerned about the clock that we run AK 3 straight times, and it's 4th and 3 and a must pass down. And we try and block their end with a tight end. So, there's a few things on the coaching that looked a lot like, earlier in the season to me. And that's unfortunate because I think this was a pretty even match game. We dominated the first half. They dominated the second half. Carr goes down. We talk about complementary team, how many times DA's teams, we would do something great and the other side of the ball would completely give it back immediately. Well, Carr drives down, ties the game. Next possession, walk right down, touchdown. Nothing from the defense when we really need it again. So, kind of the theme of the season, I think. I would have liked to see us be a little bit more aggressive there at the end and try and score that touchdown rather than run out the clock. It was going to be difficult to run out the clock anyway. They had 3 timeouts when we started that series of downs. We would have had a convert on 3rd down. They still would have had 2 timeouts. So we could have got it down under a minute. But it was a tie game. They needed a field goal. They were going to have, 40 seconds plus, most likely, no matter what we did. So I wish we would have just tried to score there and see what happens rather than go the conservative route. But, all in all, extremely rough game to watch. But pretty hard fought considering how many people were missing compared to what they had on the field, at the end of the day. You got to be realistic about the fact that we're still trying to depend on Marcus Valdez-Scantling to get a touchdown every game just for us to get something going in the pass game.
Yeah, it felt like the wind completely went out of the sails of the whole Rizzy movement with this loss. You know what I mean? Like everybody was riding high off the 2 wins, and I think there was momentum building where people saying, hey, if you go 6-2 or whatever the number is, but now it just feels like, yeah, let's just go ahead and look at the best coach that's out there. You know what I mean? Like I feel like the Rizzy movement kind of took a big step back with that game.
Yeah, I think and that's I think that's still yet to be seen because let's be honest, if we string together 2 more like convincing wins, I think people will be right back in that boat that they were in before this game. But I think. But overall, I tend to agree. Like I tend to lean your way, Max. But I think it kind of goes back to like what Nick was saying. That they clearly had it in their game plan to play keep away from the Rams, knowing that it definitely is to a McVay team's advantage with a veteran quarterback like Stafford, with those receivers. Who neither of which got 75 yards, by the way.
Imagine
which Max thought it was such an easy thing, such a terrible low-hanging fruit. But that we don't need to get into that right now. But
Cooper at 17 yards. I mean, if you want to talk about things we did pretty well,
right. I mean, you did well against those guys overall. The thing is,
it was 8 together. It was 8 for 73. Which is 9 yards a catch. You got to say that's a win against those 2 guys.
If you told me before the game that, and I think Kyron had less than 100 rushing as well. He had over 100 all-purpose, but
he went just over. He had 104.
So if you
was gashing us, we did not keep him in check.
In the second half,
they did not give him the ball enough in the first half. Was the issue?
Yeah, that
but
was.
To be fair, Max, 156 total rushing yards for them, 143 to us. It was kind of, we were both getting what we wanted in the run game.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you had given me the stat line before the game, I would have said that looks good for us. But
not the rushing yards. Not the rushing
maybe
yards.
not the,
If you would have told me the receiving yardage from Cooper and Puka, I would have been like, yeah, that looks great. But if you say Kyron and you show me the breakdown of his runs, I'd be like, no, we got destroyed.
Because he had timely runs as well. And
look at his runs in the second half. It's brutal.
Yeah.
Corum averaged 5 yards a carry, you know.
Yeah, it was a brutal.
He was the biggest surprise, the way how much success Blake Corum had. But back to what Max was saying about the energy and what I think what Nick said plays into it. It's just I didn't disagree with the game plan. The whole idea of keeping it away from the Rams is a strategically sound thing to do. It's just that you have to be ready for the fact that playing that kind of football, playing that kind of game means you have to like be energized by the boringness of it. You have to, as a team, be energized by the mundane nature of what you're bringing. Like you should be celebrating when something boring happens, as backwards as that sounds. But it also seemed to kind of de-energize the team as well. And then the other side of that too is kind of like what Nick was saying at the end of the game, where yes, it's a strategically good thing to say, let's play keep away. But the way the Rams offense started playing in the second half, I think you didn't have to necessarily throw that out of the window, but it was kind of clear that they were getting what they wanted despite what you were trying to do when you had the ball. So at that point, why not just put the foot on the gas and try to at least throw in some of the more dynamic stuff that we have seen maybe in the past 2 weeks, maybe that we saw towards the fourth quarter of the Browns game, or some of the stuff we saw in the Atlanta game. Like let's at least try more of an aggressive approach, because, and especially at that last drive, like you said, I was thinking the same thing too with the clock management. Like we're kind of in no man's land with the clock at that point, where my gut instinct actually was, let's try to just score quick, and you're gonna have to stop them anyway. Like you said, Nick, you're not gonna be able to run the clock completely down before you score. You're gonna give them at least 40 seconds.
You're saying go a 2-for-1 almost.
Just I mean, you may as well just try to score aggressively, and then
I agree.
Since you have to stop them anyway, try to stop them, and then if you are able to stop them with your timeouts, now you have a chance to go kick a field goal.
Yeah.
They chose the run it out approach, play for overtime, and it backfired. And I'll touch on this because I've been talking for a minute here, but
no kidding,
but it opened up the whole floodgates to the Derek Carr shit again, where everyone was putting the game on Derek Carr because that last fourth down play, where like he held it too long, had a guy open, didn't get the ball out. I mean, some of that might be like factually accurate, but it's like there was so much more of this game that is not on him.
And I think he saw the guy come open when the DB kind of goes down. Soon as he sees it, he goes to sling it, and at that point Foster was beat, which I don't blame Foster. He didn't even do a bad job. It's just, to me, that has to be a quicker route, not these end zone crossers if you're going to block him with Moreau. Yeah, it just doesn't make sense to me.
Look, Carr was
he held him up for like 4 seconds, man, because that's been documented. Underhill did a whole damn article on it. So Foster didn't get killed. I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
but the route combination was not going to come open for a long period of time. I don't even think Foster made a mistake. I just think
it was just a bad design of a play.
It was
for
just
that situation.
Like clockwork out of the commentary after the game. It's just like you had pretty much like a whole team effort to not pull that one out. And of course, like everything is going right back on Carr because he's the guy with the ball in his hand at the end of the game, and he's
also
QB.
crazy.
He
was under pressure all day. We had 0 sacks given up, 0 turnovers. He was 184 a touchdown. To blame that on Carr when you put him in an obvious passing down, and it's so funny to blame that game on him. To me, there was nothing he did in that game that was where you can put the blame on him.
Look,
nothing.
I think he's had better games. I did see some instances of him having that perceived pressure where he was trying to get the ball out early. some of the checkdowns, like the ones that Kamara dropped, like he should catch those, but they were also like thrown at his feet.
Oh man,
But
how many did he drop? Like
Oh,
3?
come on. 2 for sure. And those were, I did not think those were at his feet. I thought those were perfectly fine passes.
Two of them were right in his hands.
The Jawan Johnson one that he dropped right over the top, right in his hands.
Yeah.
Not deflected, nothing. I know the defender was kind of tugging on his jersey a little. I
He's gotta
mean,
catch
couldn't
that.
have a better throw there, dropped. He's throwing to bums. Let's just be honest about it. The whole receiving core is nobodies.
right.
Valdez-Scantling was a free agent mid-season. Okay.
Yeah.
This is not on him. Those guys simply aren't open. I do like what Kevin Austin looked good again.
Man, I like him. He's looked good every week.
Yeah. Other than that, I mean, when AK's even dropping them, when you need every yard you can get, and we're watching him drop 2 of those, one of them was going to be a first down for sure. The other one was probably going to be 7 or 8 yards. I mean, I don't know what you want Carr to do about this. He's throwing to nobody. Yeah. I just have a tough time with that.
Yeah, and I was gonna when both of y'all were saying, we should have been more aggressive in that final 2-minute situation. Like, you can't just turn it on with street free agents playing wide receiver. You know what I mean? It's like literally the only somewhat reliable threat right now is Valdez-Scantling. We like Kevin Austin, but I mean, he hasn't broken a big play yet. I don't even think he's scored yet.
But let's be honest, the receivers in this game that we rolled out, Valdez-Scantling,
they're not good.
Kevin Austin, Cedric Wilson, Pettis, and am I missing somebody? Is that it?
No, but 2 of those guys were free agents 4 weeks ago, and one was on
the only one that was on the opening day roster was Cedric Wilson.
Yeah, exactly, and he's not good. So it's like I don't see. I'm going to push back on the whole. I don't think they can just turn it on and say, "Hey, we're going to be aggressive and just score." Like they're not built right now to do that. They just simply aren't. This tight end situation is bad too. Like we've documented it that we have 2 guys that probably should be a third tight end on a good team, maybe a 2. Both of these guys are masquerading as 1s right now. I'm talking about Foster and Jawan. Foster's been solid this year, but I mean, he's not a number 1 tight end. Jawan Johnson is nowhere near a number 1 tight end. Like, he needs to fucking walk right out the door once his contract's up at the end of the season. So I don't think there's really, and then once Taysom goes out, it's literally AK who dropped 2, maybe 3 passes in the game, and then Valdez-Scantling. They can't just turn it on. Like, you're asking Carr to make chicken salad out of chicken shit at this point.
I'm not saying do that early. I'm saying on that last drive. You can't.
I know what you're saying. I'm just saying they just don't have the capable. There's no. It's like you're bringing a fucking knife to a gunfight with these guys.
Yeah. I just think you can't put it in an obvious pass down on 4th down and expect good results with that receiving core. I think you've got to throw on 2nd.
No, he does need to get the ball out sooner. He has to get it out at some point. Like, he changed the play, from my understanding.
He did.
They were talking.
I saw commentary about that too. But it was that the play that was brought in was a man beater play, I think, and not a zone beat play.
Yeah,
and so he tried to switch it, but it was like whatever he had to switch it to wasn't effective either. Yeah. And so that's really
every route was in the end zone. So you're trying to run out the clock, but you're running routes in the end zone. If that was the kill play, that doesn't make any sense either. You saw him try and roll right because he knew where the pressure was going to be coming from. And to be fair, it's a touchdown. If there's a 500th of a second more, it's probably a touchdown.
Yeah. Or if he had stepped up a little bit, but
he didn't feel it for sure. Maybe he should have felt
quarterback it a lot, obviously. But I think it goes back to, the only flaw that the biggest critique, if I had to choose one for Carr in this game, was that it seemed like, of course, right after we have the game show episode and talking about this is what he looks like when he does well, this is what he actually is. And look, he's a 17th best QB in the NFL based on our assessment. And he had a little bit more of that like ghost pressure type feel in this game because they were bringing, even though there was no sacks, like they were bringing pressure. He was a little bit skittish back there, looked closer to what he looked like in, say, the Chiefs game. Not that bad, but closer to that than what he looked like against like, the Browns or the Falcons or something like that.
Yeah,
but
and
also
look,
our line was getting killed. Also, if we're
Yeah,
being
and they have a
fair
good
about
front.
it.
They have a really good
Yeah.
defensive front. So
and look, the
I mean-
reality is we came to the conclusion that Carr grades out somewhere around the 17 range, 16, 17 range. And look, on a good day, he's going to pop up, he's going to look like he's a 10, 11, 12 guy in the league. On a bad day, he's going to look like he's the 23rd, 24th, 25th guy in the league.
Yeah.
And, the other day, he wasn't at his best. But I'm also not going to lay all of the blame at his feet because, his supporting cast really did him no
That's
favors.
what I'm going to say. Like, if we put him at 16, 17, like all of us did, right? And then you give him no support in the skill area, 0, and we expect him to go win that game. He didn't lose that game. We know that. Like, he didn't give that game away. 0 negative plays in that game. So, I guess the expectation versus reality is just not
That's a good
acknowledging where our offensive line is right now. We
Yeah.
lost another one who hadn't
we
played
have
all
no
year.
idea.
What's
Yeah.
that?
We
We
lost
heard
you for a
about
second.
5 seconds of what you just said in the past 30, but that's fine. We'll keep rolling.
Okay. I was just saying the offensive line and
so-
the skill players are so bad right now, and we lost
Yeah,
another
yeah.
offensive lineman and we lost another skill player in this game,
Yeah.
that if we have an expectation of him to even perform to the 16, 17 level, that's probably unfair.
The
Yeah,
more
because
banged
McCoy
up
was
this
missing,
team
and that's
is,
huge.
like, McCoy and you have to take these
And then
games where you're
Saldivari got
playing.
hurt.
That's what I'm
Saldivari
saying.
going
He
out.
got hurt too. Yep.
Nothing helped. And so it's one of those games where you can put something on the quarterback. He's the goddamn quarterback. So, like, you want to put something on the quarterback, put something on the quarterback, but you can't ignore what the rest of the team had to do. The supporting cast for Carr, sure, it's lower, but this is one of these games where the areas that had to step up are the classic, what will always be there in football areas. Can you run the ball and can you stop the run? This was one of those games where we had to rely heavily on both of those things, and they underperformed. I know we had good rushing stats. We had some good burst.
We
type
ran it
runs
pretty
from
well,
AK.
I think.
We
I don't know.
didn't run it poorly, but we could not stop them, and we could not stop their run, and especially when we had to stop their run. Like, we tried to play keep away. We did a good job in the first half of maintaining ball control, time of possession, but especially in the second half, they kind of gave us a taste of our own medicine. They just ran it at will and kept that clock moving and did not give us the possessions we needed to try to make more of a game of it.
Yeah, and keep away only works. Like, this style that we played in the first half only works if you get points to finish the drive. You know what I mean? Like, we got to halftime and it's a 1-score game.
It was 3 field goal attempts. Didn't score a single touchdown on 3 drives there and there.
Yeah, at that point, like, I felt deflated watching the game. Because I'm like, oh man, it's a 6-0 lead. Like, literally, they could return the opening kickoff in the second half and have the lead. You felt like they did all this work in time of possession. They played keep away. They executed that part of the strategy to perfection, but they could not finish. And,
you felt it when Groupie missed the 36-yarder.
When he missed it, I was like, you just knew it at that point. The win went out of the sails. And then the other thing is, like, we've had a coaching change, but at the same point, the same sloppiness and mistakes still exist. Like having to burn a timeout, in the first half because, if someone's late coming on the field or whatever it may be. And it's like, we can't still be doing this shit in week 13.
Yeah.
And there were 4 or 5 drops, the crucial penalties.
Yeah.
Yeah, when Kamara has two drops like that, that's just brutal.
Yeah, and the penalties wouldn't be crucial penalties if you had an ability to finish more consistently outside of that one drive. Just that, like, they became such a premium because of how much clock we were using. And so the one on Fuaga, definitely on him. But then the one on Penning, even the experts on TV were like, yeah, that's a terrible call. Where it's like, he clearly he wasn't even trying to block the guy he went low on. Like, his big clumsy ass, like,
Penning he just whiffed
fell
and
into
fell.
the guy.
He wasn't trying to do it.
Like, he's just so big that he rolled into the dude, and the ref's like, well, hit him low. There's a flag.
Yeah,
and that's what really cost us on that drive because we were getting close enough.
No, they had to score a touchdown there. They had to.
Yeah.
We did. We just gave it back.
Yeah. All right. Well, here's a question. So I think, player of the game, I can't even think of anybody who actually deserves it on either side of the ball. So I know we all picked the Rams to win, so we would all get a point for that. But I think you two went Kamara and I went Taysom. I don't think we could really.
I mean, if you're picking one, it's clearly Kamara, in all honesty. But let me see. Let me get what the exact
He went over
numbers
100
are.
all-purpose again, right?
Way over 100,
Yeah.
over 100 rushing.
Yeah, that's right. He had over 100 rushing. I mean, that's a big deal for a
those two
Saints running back
drops
these
were
days.
brutal.
Yeah, the drops were brutal. I mean, if you want to take it away from him over the drops, but he was clearly our MVP. I don't think there's any debate on that. Taysom had like 10 touches for 32 yards, I think.
No, I'm saying
Carr
I don't think anyone was an MVP. It was
I
bad.
think they played. I think they played better than that. This was not a horrible performance game. It wasn't.
No, but those Kamara stats are hollow. That's as hollow as a 100-yard game could be.
23 for 112 and 4 for 7. So 27 for 119 overall. That's what, 4.5 a touch, a little over 4.5 a touch. Carr had 184 and a touchdown. Taysom 5 for 37 receiving, 5 for 10 rushing. So he had 10 for 47, 4.7 a touch.
So I guess the question
touchdown
becomes:
catch.
Are we just going to award this to who has the best stats, or are we going to actually say like this actually was the biggest impact? Because if we're just doing stats, then yeah, I guess you give it to Kamara. If we do impact, then nobody gets it.
I'm just going to say Kamara, he dominated the first half for sure. The second half with the drops.
We had 6 points, and it didn't matter.
True. Well, he did score too, and it got taken off the board by offensive lineman falling on his face.
Yeah.
Defensive wise, I don't know that anyone had a Kamara level performance defensive wise. To me, in the first half, I was texting Max or maybe the group. I'm not sure that Amadi was playing pretty damn well in the first half, but then he gave up a few crucial catches in the second half. Pete was flying around the field, but they were still gashing us in the run. So I don't know what that means. Alante was terrible again. DeMario was.
Did you say Alante was the MVP, Max?
That was you. I had Rizz who had a sack.
But I thought like during the game,
He did have a sack.
Look at Alante. He's doing really well, right?
Oh yeah, that was sarcasm. Guess it didn't translate in the text.
Rizz did have a sack, but it was his only tackle. Nathan Shepard had the same stat line: 1 tackle, 1 sack. It's harder for me to find someone there.
I'm not voting for anybody on either side of the ball.
I'm a vote Kamara for me and Corey. I mean, I don't think that game's close without Kamara. I'll be honest with you. So
yeah, I mean, I think what you just said, Nick, is the key. Like, it was 6-0 first half, but like, we wouldn't have even had the chance to be, we were within striking distance at the end. We would not. I mean,
he's only got what 800-yard rushing games in his career.
He ran it.
We're downplaying.
Well. I mean, like.
I think the funniest thing is I caught a little bit of the Underhill triplet pod, and they were MVP of the game. Can you all guess who it was? This MVP of the game, like overall offense, defense.
Defense.
Fuaga?
No, come on. I'll give Nick a guess, and then I'll tell you.
And
this echoes how bad this performance was overall.
I don't think it was that bad of a performance. It was a better team in a tight game. It's just a boring performance.
I don't mean bad. I just mean like we just didn't do enough anywhere to win. But it was Valdez-Scantling. That's who they picked, which is hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, he caught the deep touchdown. I get it, but he didn't. That's all he did. That was one play.
Right, and that just echoes that literally nobody really did anything of any real substance. I mean, Kamara, he had 100 yards, but it didn't really. I guess you could say it kept us in the game, but I mean, I don't know. I vote 0 on both sides, but y'all can go ahead and outvote me.
I'm voting Kamara and nobody on defense.
Enough. I'm not saying that anyone had, some remarkable impact on the game, but
who did we pick on defense?
About MVP.
He had Alante again.
I tried to make Alante happen again.
He's going to ride that one off into the.
Hey, I tried 3 times. I can't get on him. But
I think I tried 2 or 3 times too. I'm done.
Yeah, that's a wrap on him.
I mean, I can't go back to the well, clearly. But I know that
the good news is offense is easy going forward. You just say Kamara. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you right now, Kamara is my pick for the rest of the season until he gets hurt.
Unless Valdez-Scantling goes 2 for 120 and 2 touchdowns.
That's the only way he won't win. No, I mean Kamara with Taysom out, Kamara's locked in.
I agree. I mean, that's kind of what you got to do. He's our only guy. Let's be honest.
No, he's it. He's the last man standing. He really is
better. Much better than a coin flip chance. He's like 75% chance your
Okay, so
MVP.
let's do this. We'll go ahead. Everyone gets a point for predicting the Rams win. We'll give you two each a point for Kamara, and then we're not going to give anybody defense.
Nobody on defense. Okay.
I mean, look, you can give it to Brzee for his one sack, but I'm not even going to argue for that, dude. Even though I picked him.
Giving it to anybody on the defensive line.
That QB sneak killed me. Oh my God, he got destroyed.
He's bad against the run, man.
He really is, and like
It's awful.
He's second in the league in defensive tackle sacks this year, and you're still like, is he good? I mean, it's bizarre.
Yeah.
He's so bad against the run.
He needs a monster next to him.
Yeah,
he needs somebody that's just like that Mason Graham from Michigan this year. So he needs someone like that. Just someone.
He just needs freedom where he doesn't have that responsibility at all, and he can just just try.
You know what? I could almost see him as like a 3-4 defensive end. Yeah. Like I feel like if he were in that position, that dude would roll out and get like 11, 12 sacks and be fine against the run for a defensive end.
Yeah. It also goes to the fact that like we've been living in a interior defensive lineman desert for the past like I don't even know how many seasons. Like we have forgotten what it looks like to have a competent pair of defensive tackles on the field at the same time. You know, like we've had very mid guys along the way.
Yeah, you say that though, but we were great against the run until last year?
For like 7 years.
For like 7 years. And it didn't matter who was at defensive tackle. We were dominating against the run. Remember that shit? We had like this long streak where no one could get 100 yards against us.
I think Cam was a big part of that. And once Cam fell off, we struggled.
Because the run isn't all up the middle. You know, like we were good at stopping.
No, exactly.
Off
but
tackle
I think
plays
to
too.
Nick's point, Cam was a huge factor in that. But the defensive tackles also were.
Anyamata, was really
like they weren't out getting 8 sacks or anything, but they were getting like 2 or 3 sacks and playing the run.
I think losing
Shy Tuttle, Anyamata.
Malcolm Roach to me was the
biggest.
Malcolm
Roach was a big one
to go.
Yeah, he was a real one.
Because he's been doing well this year, and you see highlights of him even when you're not trying to watch Denver. You see him pop up on a highlight, and it's just I just feel like we haven't had a sense of true interior pressure in a while. We've been effective at just stonewalling the run going back before last year. But
how about Zach Bond now being the number 1 rated linebacker in the league?
That's hilarious.
You figured that was going to happen. I mean, he's on a totally different defense. Our defense is not that defense. He wasn't ever going to be that guy with us.
He wasn't beating out DeMario. He wasn't beating out Werner here. I mean, it's a simple fact.
He was a complete tweener for the defense we're going to run, and the defense that even Joe Woods would run with Theo gone. So that's just it's a fact of life. That used to be like the most predictable thing of every season for Saints fans was like when a guy leaves, he's going to be an all-star on the next team. That used to just be like par for the course back in late 90s and whatnot.
It's been a while since that's happened, though. Hey, did you guys? I texted one of y'all this. Marcus Williams, healthy scratch for the Ravens.
Yeah, I saw that. They're pissed at him. Oh, so
think about that, dude. That's wild. He's like 26, man.
They did that to him about 4 weeks ago too. It's the second time this year. Yeah.
What the fuck? That's crazy.
I don't know.
Wow,
I mean, he did get hurt again there. So last year, so I don't know if that had any impact on him, but that's pretty crazy.
That's troubling.
He's not old. It's not like he's old and washed. So
I
don't know. But I don't know. I don't have any more thoughts on this game. It was just depressing.
Yep.
To be brought back down to earth. Felt like a pin went into the balloon and just kind of burst that bubble. Any misguided hope that had been brewing over the last couple of weeks. Everyone likes a good story. It's like, hey, can he make a push for the playoffs? And then sure as shit, the Falcons end up losing to the Chargers. And it's like, oh, hey, look, it's there. It's there.
Had you win, it was there. If we would have won, it was there.
I think that's why this loss, beyond the play on the field, because the play on the field was, kind of like as we predicted. Maybe not as fireworks. Not as many fireworks as predicted from the receiver group, but the Rams offense outmatched us. The way this one bothers you is because if you are the optimistic Saints fan and you do have that unspoken shred of hope in the back of your head that's like, mathematically there's a way, this one kind of bursted that.
It was a reality.
Definitively. This one brought that reality straight into our face because like Nick said, I mean, if we had won, we would still be saying like, hey, it's not that crazy.
Yeah.
But we lost. We're way behind
over
now.
Well,
So,
here's
it's
a
over
question
now.
for you. Here's a question for you. So
Yeah.
the season's effectively over at this point. So it's at this point, it's a matter of how many games can Rizzy scrape together and get this team to win. As we stand now, at 4-8, as we stand now and pretty much eliminated, although mathematically we're still alive, but for all practical purposes, we're done. Where do you guys stand as far as the head coaching search goes? I'm going to go ahead and lead off with what I think. I am firmly in the belief of I want somebody from outside the building. I want someone who has zero ties to the Sean Payton regime. I don't want anyone who has any ties to this organization. Like, I'm firmly in that camp at this point. Like, Rizzy was a fun story, but at the end of the day, we're still seeing the same stupid mistakes, same basic mistakes, same poor tackling, same all of that. And nothing's really changed. He's just a more entertaining, more energetic sideline presence than that wet fucking mop that was DA. So with me, I'm firmly in the let's bring somebody from outside of the building. My top choice is obviously Ben Johnson, but also Brian Flores. Those are my two guys.
Yeah, and he hasn't been high on the in Vegas odds for us for some reason. I'm curious about that. Why not? Because I would love to have Brian Flores. Everyone wants Ben Johnson. I don't see a scenario.
Yeah.
Why would he pick us over Chicago? You wouldn't.
Because he won't get fired.
Well, the Bears aren't gonna spend money on a coach they never have. So I don't see him going there. That feels like the landing spot for Kingsbury.
Maybe an offensive guy's going to go there with everything they have on offense for sure.
Absolutely,
they're going to get an offensive guy with that roster. There's no doubt about it. And
Corey,
they all
going down Kingsbury. That's what I'm feeling going there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with.
Well, hold on, Nick. Finish what you were saying.
Oh, I thought something good.
I don't know what I know we get really high when we win a couple games, but if you really watch those games, ever since the 3 games, the team looks the same to me overall. Now we did win 2 games rather than give them away. I get it, but you throw the Rattler games out of the DA equation, and what are you 2-3, and Rizzy's 2-1, so that's better. But it looks like the same type of stuff. I don't see a big change. Maybe a little more energy from him for sure. But has the team tightened up and is playing really nice football? And no, you're seeing lots of mistakes still. You're seeing dumb penalties. You're seeing drops. You're seeing the same stuff we said. At some point, the coaching has to impact these things. It looks the same. So is it the players? My opinion has always been it's the players. It's on the players. A drop by AK is on AK. It's not on the coach. Shaheed feeling a punt at the 2 is on Shaheed. It's not on the coach. The simple things to me, the players make a lot of money to do that skill. So I believe when they make mistakes, it's on them. I don't believe it's a lack of discipline in the building or anything like that. So, do we have a player problem? We probably do. We know we have a roster problem as a whole. We've seen what happens when a few key guys get injured. We fall apart. So, I think there's a lot to go on, and I don't understand why you would just roll Rizzy out there next year when there's an overhaul that has to be done, whether it's a rolling overhaul or just a complete overhaul. A lot has to change for us to get to a better spot. And I think you just have to go find someone new and do it. Now, could you make a case we roll Rizzy out there 1 year and use him as a scapegoat to hire a coach if we're able to draft well and start to build this team to look like a more approachable job for somebody that's better? I guess you might be able to make that case, but I believe if there's a good coach out there, you just go get him. And if you're not offering the most money in the league to Ben Johnson, then I don't know what you're doing. Spend that money. You were going to offer it to Sean to stay. Why not offer it to Ben Johnson? Go out there and make a move. Go offer him 5 years, $75 million, and let's do it. So that's where I'm at. I believe we got to look
that they're.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
what you got, Corey?
I think they're going to back up the truck for Ben Johnson. It's just going to be a question of whether or not he wants to do it. I think as far as Rizzy's concerned, I'm okay with him being a candidate in the coaching search.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Because there will come a point in this whole. First things first. What do we have? 5 games left now? 6?
Yep.
5.
So
yep.
That's a pretty good extension of his head coaching audition, right? Because This is a on-the-job audition for him, straight up. Everything he does will be factored into whether he can be hired as the coach. So that's a lot of games to show what you really have. If it's more of the same, if it's 3 more games at 2-1, but when you play the good team, you look like you're falling apart, and when you play the bad teams, you're doing okay. That's not convincing. If he has a solid team, has a solid, tightened up performance against, like say the Packers, like the good team left on our schedule, the best team left on our schedule, maybe also the Bucks. That's convincing. If you can go into Green Bay, if you can play the Bucks in sound football and win those games, that has to count for something.
I don't think the Bucks game counts for anything if they win that one. The Bucks.
I don't either.
They're trying to.
That's not a good team.
But the Commanders and Packers, I'll give you that. If you were to
Commanders and Packers, yeah, that's what
Commanders are good when they're playing shit teams. They haven't shown it against a winning team yet.
Well,
yeah, but they're 8-5, so I mean,
they're good enough team to where if you can beat them and do so playing really well, and you also do it against the Packers, which I don't firmly do not expect those to happen. But if they did, you would have to factor that in for Rizzz. And then the other thing becomes, all right, so what if we get to a point when all the other teams are hiring where you get to a break point in these candidates, and if it's between candidate number 4 outside from, guy number 4 from outside the building versus Rizzz, and quote, random guy number 4 is objectively doesn't have as much experience, might not actually be as good of a fit. You got to make a decision on, like, do we bring a guy from the outside just to bring a guy from the outside, even if he's not, like, doesn't stack up the same based on resume to Rizzz, or do you roll with Rizzz? So that's where it gets tough for me. Like, if you can land Ben Johnson,
guy,
if you can land one of the top 2-3 guys from outside the building, I'm fine with that.
Hey, Sean Payton was not a top 1 or 2 or 3 guy the year we got him outside the building. Just
that's
so
true.
You know. He got his play calling duties stripped away from him at his previous stop.
I've said that as well, but I don't think. Yeah, I mean, if Rizzz offers the remaining 5 games, if they're more of the same, then I'm like, he may as well not even be a candidate if it's just the same thing. But if he buckles up and impresses, then you have to keep him in line as a candidate at least.
I think I like the Bucks game. I'm giving him 0 credit if he wins that game. That's not we should, honestly, we're as good of a team as the Bucks. We should win that game. It's at home. Like, we should win that game. The Bucks are beat up too.
They're not that beat up anymore. They've gotten
they're coming back. But I mean, again, at the same point, like, it's an evenly matched game. For the most part. I know we're still beat up, but we should still win that game. Like, that's not a great team. That's not a playoff team at this point.
Absolutely be favored if we played tomorrow.
They'll be favored significantly, I would think, at Bucks. I'm saying 5.5, something like that. I would think.
In New Orleans, you think they're favored by 5.5?
It's at Tampa, isn't it?
Yeah, I thought it was in Tampa.
It was at Tampa to end the game.
You're right. Shit, I'm sorry. It is in Tampa. Yeah. Okay. No, they're favored by about 5 then. 5.5. Again, though, I mean, that's not, to me, a huge mark on the resume to where, that should be a tipping point. The Packers, you go to Green Bay and you win that game, that's a feather in your cap.
Yeah.
Commanders.
Yeah. I don't know that it'll change my opinion, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't. I'm not hiring him just based on that. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
I think he absolutely deserves an interview. No question. I think he's going 2-1 so far. Let's say he finishes 5-3, whatever it is. He absolutely deserves an interview, but he needs to be there needs to be other people in here.
Yes, you can't do a fake search just because you think you have Rizzz.
We did a fake search the DA year.
Right.
Yeah, we do not need to be
doing
doing
handle
that
it the way right. I'm not in favor of handling it the way we did with DA.
Well, here's another thing. It's like, imagine, so they interviewed Rizzz when they hired DA. So they passed over Rizzz for DA. And it's like, I don't feel comfortable if they do some kind of sham interview process and basically I don't feel comfortable with that. That's just like, your
Also,
second or third choice
part of
from
it to
4 years
consider
ago.
is the year we hired DA has turned out to be a pretty terrible coaching hire year, I think. Doug Peterson, we were all mad about that. It's a disaster in Jacksonville. Terrible. Absolute disaster. Eric Bieniemy's in college now.
Right.
Everyone was upset about that. So I think the talent that's out there makes a big difference in what you're talking about. And this offseason, there appears to be, I mean,
There's some heavy hitters.
would you be upset if Belichick came here?
No.
You can't be.
You can't be.
I don't want him, but he can't be upset with that hire.
No, you can't be upset.
If he signed here, I would go from right before he signs, I'd be like, oh man, I don't want Belichick. The second he signs, I'm all about it.
Yeah, exactly. So
I'll buy a sweatshirt, I'll cut the fucking sleeves off, and I'm gonna be rocking it. Talking about we're on to whoever next week.
Yeah, Joe Brady. Pretty big year in Buffalo for him. Is he ready? No one knows. He basically lost his job in Carolina and ended up with the Bills.
Yeah.
I'm not going to slight anybody for anything that happens in Carolina. Like
Me neither.
Is Brady still the Vegas favorite for us?
I
think he was for a while.
He was initially. Yeah, let me see if I can get it. Hold on.
Yeah, I'm not, and look, I'm not going to slight anybody for anything that happens in Carolina. Sam Darnold made a little layover there. Look, he looks like a competent quarterback. Baker had a little layover there. He looks like a competent quarterback. Anyone who leaves Carolina seems to be better for it. Like that organization is a complete dumpster fire. And before I forget, I got to shout out Jameis Winston for giving me the most entertaining Monday Night Football game of the season. Like it was the full. Nick and I were texting about this. I know you were at dinner for Lizzie's birthday, man. It was the full Jameis experience. 500 yards, 4 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. I think 2 pick sixes.
Almost a third pick six. It was run back 50 yards.
Corey, I'm sure you missed the game because you were out for dinner. But dude, when I tell you missed a layup 90-yard touchdown, he would have broken the single game yardage record the other day. He would have had like 590 yards if they hit that play. It was a layup. And Judy would have had 300 yards. It was the wildest shit ever.
And he missed. I mean, the corner that Sean rolled out there last night. I don't know how that guy's in the NFL.
That dude was bad.
It was anyone they lined up on him was open by 6-7 yards. It was unbelievable. Yeah. And they didn't take him out until the 2-minute drive, and they immediately shut him down. They put a different rookie in, and he shut him down. Jameis couldn't get it.
Hey, no, I know that was completely out of crazy. I know that was completely out of left field, but that was like I need Jameis on my TV instead of seeing the Packers the Chiefs and the Jets every damn Thursday and Sunday night. Give me Jameis one of these nights. I want to see the pregame interviews. I want to see the postgame interviews, and I want to see the play on the field. I think
you text me. You're like, they got to win this game after he threw the long touchdown. I was like, they won't, but this is going to be a show.
Yeah.
Sure enough, he got him the lead, and then he just gave the game away methodically like he does. But it was fun as shit to watch.
Sorry for that tangent. It was amazing, though.
Real quick, before we finish up, I'll go through. I don't have the most current odds. This is the original odds, but they're not up on the site. But tell me who you'd be pissed on this, Corey, of this list, because most of these I think you'd be pretty game.
Let's go.
Joe Brady, Ben Johnson.
Let's go.
The top 2 originally. Todd Monken.
That's Corey's
happy or
guy.
sad with that? Yeah, you like him, right?
I would not be okay with Monken though as a head coach.
Okay,
coordinator, yes, but he's like the ultimate DA thing. Where
hold on. So go from one. Go from the highest odds. Start off.
Brady, Ben Johnson.
Okay, so
Monken.
Brady, I would talk myself into Brady.
I would
Ben
too.
Johnson would be ecstatic.
Yep, at least Joe Brady's young and innovative. You can talk me into that, no problem.
I mean, look, he was the catalyst for that. Well, not going to. He was the coach for that LSU team. So I'm not going to say he was the catalyst, but he was the coach for that LSU, the greatest college team ever. And I'm not an LSU fan, so
he was given a lot of credit.
He was, but that shit was. That was good. Okay, so who's next?
Burrow, Chase, and Jefferson. But,
then Aaron Glenn. I'm down on him as a candidate, but I'm not going to be furious if we hire Aaron Glenn. Mike Vrabel
with Aaron Glenn. I know Max didn't like it was a Sean Payton trade, but I'd be fine with Aaron Glenn.
Mike Vrabel. You can't be pissed at Mike Vrabel. If you like Dan Campbell, you got to like Mike Vrabel.
I would love Mike Vrabel. Would love it.
I'd be fine with that.
Wes Phillips.
I don't know who that is.
I don't know who that is either. Do you know, Corey? Who's
Is it
Wes Phillips?
Wade Phillips' son, the defensive coordinator.
Is he? I don't know.
I don't know.
I think there's a Phillips kid wandering around coaching defense, but I don't know if that's him.
Then on this list, Rizzy was 7th. I don't want Rizzy. But then you got Bobby Slowick. This year hasn't been great for him. Last year, I think y'all both would have been cool with him as an OC. I think we talked about him, but it's not been a great year for him. So maybe, but another young, maybe innovative guy. Could I talk myself into it? Maybe
I would talk myself into it.
Then you got Bill Belichick. No one's going to be pissed about that. Period. You're going to talk yourself into the Hall of Fame coach. Brian Flores. Nobody's going to be pissed about that.
That's my number 2 guy after Johnson.
Yeah,
Flores.
Jesse Minter.
Don't know who it is.
Me neither. Any idea, Corey?
You're at the point of the list where we're not going to know who you are.
You're not. You're not there because next is Kingsbury. I don't want him either because he failed. Got the quarterback he wanted, and he failed with that quarterback. I know he's got Jaden now, but still. Vance Joseph?
No. Don't want. Retread. No.
Also failed. Deion Sanders.
I'd take Prime.
Would talk myself into it.
Of course.
If Shador comes with him, yeah, I'm in.
But how could you not talk yourself into that? You'd be amped. You'd be amped instantly. I'm not saying it's the right move.
You get anything that you wanted. Can you imagine?
And then
our
Nick
coaching
Saban.
staff?
And Nick Saban's last on the list.
You can't say that, Nick Saban.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot of people. We just named probably 8 or 10 that we were all like, yeah, that'd be fine. So this is a year with talent in the coaching pool. I think you just got to go get one of them. There won't be 8 jobs, and there's 8 guys I like.
Yeah.
There's going to be 8 jobs.
Think there'll be 8? 8's a lot.
What do we got right now? So we're Saints.
I feel like it
Jets,
grows every year.
Saints, Jets, Bears.
Jags,
3 now.
Jaguars too, right? Didn't they fire Peterson or no?
No, I don't think so. Not yet.
I
I didn't see it if they did.
Christ. Okay, well, he's going to get fired.
He's getting fired. Yep.
Um,
Carolina's not firing him.
No, they're not. They shouldn't.
Shouldn't.
They
You get
shouldn't,
2
yeah.
years.
Yeah.
You know, we talked about that before.
Look, Bryce Young looks fine the last couple of weeks since he came back. He looks fine.
Yeah, we'll see.
Again, the Carolina tax. You play for Carolina, shit gets you get downgraded a lot.
McCarthy's seat's burning.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That one is.
It's probably time for them to let him go.
Would you take him?
No, I wouldn't.
Don't want him.
Because to me, I hate to say
I don't want
it.
a retread that's never won. I don't want a retread that hasn't won.
He won a Super Bowl. He's got a Sean Payton resume. If you put them side by side, it's identical. But I don't want him. With that said, I think the game's kind of passed him up a little bit. I think, I think it's passed Sean up a little bit offensively. He's still a great leader. You can see that. But his offense is not innovative anymore. It's really not. And I think the same thing of McCarthy. I don't think I'd want him, but you're right. That'll open up. Who else, though? Who else is like for sure?
I don't know.
Dayball's going to be gone. He should be.
Especially at Dayball.
He got fired already.
Oh,
That's
did
who
he?
it was. Yeah, he got fired. That's who it was. The GM and him got fired.
Dayball?
I saw that, but then he was coaching. I sent you something,
Was he?
and then he coached the next game, and I was like, maybe that was BS.
Yeah, that's not fired.
I'm looking at
Make sure it wasn't from theonion.com.
God damn it! Yeah, you're right. Who announced that?
I sent you something, and I was like, I said, this is the right move. And then he was coaching on Thanksgiving.
Okay, you sent me something that screwed me up then. I just took you at your word, you bastard.
Nick, you should send him something like every week just so.
Yeah.
Nick's out here spamming bad info.
I'm going to send him a Rizzy fired thing tomorrow.
Send him a Rizzy extended. Rizzy officially hired.
8 years, $220 million.
It's too late. I don't trust you anymore.
But there's not a whole lot more that I.
What about Stefanski with the Browns?
No, you can't fire him, can you? Winning record, went to the playoffs last year with 6 different quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Well, the problem's not him. The problem's them signing Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they may. You're right. It's possible. I don't think so. I think he's won Coach of the Year twice in 5 years.
Yeah, you can't get rid of him. He's a good coach.
Yeah.
Never mind. Yeah,
he's a legit good coach, I think.
I do too. And he's got a winning record there with, a lot of negative crap happening to them. So I'd be surprised if they fire him this year. If he has another year like this year, next year, maybe. But
yeah, they were predicted to be pretty good this year.
Yeah, but they've had injuries too. And their quarterback sucks, it turns out, which is brutal.
That's the worst contract in NFL history.
I think the talent for head coaches out there this year is all I'm saying, and I think you got to go get one of them. I don't think settling this year, as opposed to the DA year. When we hired DA, I said I kind of understand it because I didn't like anyone who got hired that year. So running status quo, then I get it. Here, I think there's a lot of talented guys out there this year.
Yeah.
All right, so the Bears have an opening. He's already fired. DA's fired. Salah got fired. Yeah, so
I don't think you're getting to 8.
Yeah, it's going to be close.
Might be 7.
Yeah.
Okay, so latest report, Schefter says there will be at least 7 NFL head coach openings this offseason.
Yeah.
We'll see. But to your point, there are a lot more enticing candidates this go around than there were the last one. So
yeah, go pick who you like, go get them.
Yeah, there's multiple guys we would be satisfied with. So I think that's a much better position to be in than, trying to talk yourself into Eric Bieniemy, because I don't think any of us were really high on him.
No.
The masses were, which was kind of funny, but
yeah, because
I don't know. I never saw that. It's like
Andy Reid's offense. It's not him.
Yeah,
of course. It has been for 25 years. So I don't know why they thought. I mean, I don't know. Andy Reid was still calling plays up until the last year, right?
Yeah, I'll admit I was annoyed that we gave Doug Peterson the virtual interview and it didn't seem like it was a serious interview. Like I was irritated about that. I did want Peterson to get a fair, but Bieniemy didn't really want him. And I mean, honestly, other than that, to your point, there really wasn't anyone that was moving the needle. There was Ben Johnson's been the most anticipated head coach in waiting in the past 10 years. It feels like it's been 3 solid years now where everyone's like, okay, this guy, where's he going to go? And he keeps waiting. Yeah. So
Doug Peterson now has a losing record as a head coach.
Yeah. But then Flores, I mean, that dude, he was a good head coach.
He had them with a winning record when the whole team was injured that year, and they just I don't think he was treated fairly, and then there was all the BS around it and all that.
He's got the lawsuit against the NFL ongoing.
Right. That's what
signing up.
What's better than putting him with the Saints? Yeah, perfect.
But, I mean, what he's done with that defense in Minnesota is just staggering. Like, those guys are fucking dominating.
Yeah, that team's 10-2, which is with Sam Darnold. There's a lot of good coaches there.
Yeah, and look, Vrabel, dude, that would be Belichick. I mean, no, there's multiple people that it's like you've said multiple times. You talked about Belichick's how many wins away from the all-time record?
What'd I tell you? About 20?
Yeah, so
roughly.
You gotta think that dude is just like, give me a situation to get in here, let me get that record, and just he probably won't.
Seem like he.
My worry with him is that if he wants to have GM powers, he's a terrible GM. We saw it the last couple of years in New England. Like the draft picks they made our draft picks look like fucking Detroit's draft picks. So I don't want him with any part of the player acquisition part of the equation. But if you have him here just to coach, I'm in.
26.
I would be terrified of Mickey
26,
Loomis and
okay.
Bill Belichick both being in the building picking players. That would be horrible.
Yeah, no, that's a scary thought.
And if you go get Bill or by the Vrabel, in my opinion, you have to. I would hope we'd keep Clint or go find another young. We need an OC that's a difference maker. If you're going,
I would
with
love
those
to see
guys.
Clint stick around. I think he's got a lot more to offer, like with a full cast of characters.
I've liked what I've seen with the how many injuries they've had, and to still be able to, I mean, I know we going back and forth on Carr and the offense as a whole, but since Carr came back, I think we haven't had a turnover. He's had over 250 yards. That's a lot of Clint, dude. I mean, there's nothing to work with.
And look, we've been able to run the ball damn near every game this year. We couldn't run the ball last year. It was bad.
Yeah.
And look, our offensive line's been in shambles for the most part. So, no, I would be fine with another year with Clint.
Me too.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm tapped out. You guys want to wrap?
Yeah, that's all I got. That was a rough
I
watch.
think we covered it.
Yeah, it was a horrible watch.
Thoughts and prayers up to
And
Taysom Hill.
get ready to do it again on Sunday. I can't wait to watch the Giants. That's gonna be great.
Yep.
We really should be able to beat that team, though. But you never know.
Dude, I don't know, man. We should.
I think we will.
Kendra Miller's playing, so I'm gonna go ahead and lay some money on the Kendra Miller anytime touchdown.
Look, yeah, should. I don't think we're playing really poorly right now, so it's hard for me to say the Giants would beat us. They're playing terrible. I would think.
Yeah, I think the Rams are a much better team than New York.
Yeah, but the Giants have a solid defense, at least.
They do.
It'll keep them in the game.
Yeah.
Our defense is bad, Corey. Our defense is bad.
We're not blowing anybody out. I can assure you that.
It's going to be a close game.
Yeah.
And then the weather. I mean, we don't know what the weather is going to be like. We've seen some goddamn snowstorms in the last couple of weeks.
I think my lock of the week for the next episode is going to be that it's going to be cold.
That's a good one. You need a layup. I'm checking the odds when we do it, though. We're going to wait a little later in the week for the lock, so we can look at these odds on the game and see if we can get some.
Do they have odds on whether it's going to be hot or cold?
It's going to be cold.
No, Corey. So what we'll do? Get on FanDuel and go look at the odds on whatever your lock is going to be, and then we're going to start betting on your lock each week, and we're going to see where we're at.
At this point, it's going to have to be based on something that's actually out there, because
we're going to need sponsors to pay for Corey's losses.
Yeah, I know. It can't be a layup, though, Corey. It's got to be something.
It's called Jeopardy.
I liked last week's. Once I thought about it more, a parlay for two receivers over. That's hard to do, dude. That was a good.
But it wasn't initially a parlay. At first, it was going to be.
Yes, it was. It was always.
He said both players. He did.
Okay.
He said both players.
75, and clearly it wasn't that easy because neither of them did it.
They barely got over together.
Amazing, considering Alante Taylor was guarding him. I would have guessed double that for each.
Well, that's why you're not doing the locks, Max.
That's right. He's going to rant with us.
Yeah,
because clearly
he's in the lab this week. He's in the lab this week. He's going to do something.
That's right.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. Well, let's wrap it up.
All right.
Yeah. So that's all we got. And thanks again to everyone for listening to another episode of the 28-3 podcast. Who dat?
What a